This is ATRT squad reporting in. No sign of separatist activity.
Hi, you're watching the Road Clone Trooper channel. Hi and welcome back. So as you have probably seen in my other videos, or if you haven't seen them, go and check them out. I've already finished the top and the bottoms of the Hera costume. And later on in this video I'll show you the actual little Greeblie badge that she wears and how that turned out, and do a close-up on it as well for you, okay? But today we're starting the build of the hat that Hera Syndulla wears, okay? It's a type of flying hat, then it has the extensions on the sides to let her Tuareg hair come out of it, or tentacles, whatever you want to call them. Okay, so I'm going to bring you in now and show you the stuff that I'm going to be using to pattern out and make this part of the costume. Right, the first thing that I've bought myself a styrofoam head. Sorry, this is going to help me to model and make the shape of the hat, and this way I can stick pins and everything else, and which things I can't do on my daughter, okay, for legal reasons. I've also picked up the materials that I'm going to be using. Okay, I'm using t-shirt cotton for this, so it's pretty breathable. It's easy to sew up. It's also easy to clean, and it's pretty stretchable as well, so it's going to be comfortable to wear. So I've picked up 2 extra large men's crew neck t-shirts. I'm going to use the fabric of these for the actual hat. I've also bought this, which is a type of inner lining type for making duvet covers and stuff like that, so that's going to give a bit of padding on top of the hat. And then I've also bought this stiffener as well, which will be going into the loops that go to hold up to hold the hair on the sides. Okay, so we'll get into that later on. And of course, if you've probably seen in my other videos, and if you haven't checked it out, go and check out my video on tips on building stuff. I'll put a link in the description below. I've already done all the details that I need to actually make the top, using reference photographs and stills. I now have a detailed picture of how I'm going to make things and ideas, and worked out all the different things that I need to do to make it. Okay, so I have everything already started to go. Here was the pattern that I was using for the chest part of the costume. Again, if you haven't seen that, go and check out my other videos, see how that was made. Okay, what we're also doing today, we're going to make a template. So we have our Salon wrap or cling film, and I have some gaffer tape which we're going to be using as well. Don't worry, I can use the black gaffer tape as well, because I have a silver pen which we can mark out the design on. Some of you may have noticed that the room that I'm in is kind of cluttered up. This is the actual room that I've used for most of my videos for making my costumes, and unfortunately now my kids have got to a certain age that they need more space themselves, and they've kind of taken over my hobby area where I used to make a lot of my costumes. And so this has turned into their play area and study centre and everything else. So I can only use it now when they're at school. So that's why I have got all this clutter around me at the moment. So please bear with me with the mess, okay? But that's part of being a dad and having kids, and that's why we're making this kid's costume. Right, before in one of my other builds, when I was making the leatherette vest for her costume, I talked about how I used cling film and gaffer tape to make the templates, and I showed photographs of what I had done. Some people have been on to me about showing actually how I did the process. I'm going to show you now with the helmet exactly the type of process that I went through to do it, okay? Okay, as I said, we're going to use the styrofoam head as the template. I'll take this off now. And I'm going to keep my references close. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to cover the head in the cling film or Salon. Okay. This will protect my model, and this will also then mean I can use it again and again for different things. And if you want to, you could use just wrap it round and round and round and round, but I want a bit more control over it. Doesn't have to be pretty, as long as it covers all the parts I'm going to be using. There we go. I said before, don't try this on a real person. Okay. covering the face area anyway. Right, so now we're going to use the gaffer tape. We're going to use this in small strips. I'm going to start with my centerpiece. The reason why you use small pieces is because if you use the small pieces, you can try to minimize the bunching of the tape and help it form better to the shape that you require. So I'm going to speed this up now and see how it turns out. Right, so there you go. I have wrapped the head in cling film or cellophane, whatever you want to call it, Saran wrap, and then covered it in the general shape with the gaffer tape. Okay, I've made sure to come down over the brows, give an extra piece on the side of the cheeks, and it does have a chin strap, so I've put some under the chin as well. Okay, so now we're going to use our reference sheet and we're going to use a highlighter pen, a silver highlighter pen, and we're going to work out the details of the actual headpiece. Okay, so here we are. This is just, okay, the basic outline, and I've done in some detail so I can get some ideas how it might look when I'm doing it up. Okay. At the moment, yeah, it's looking quite well. I'll work in detail a bit more, but I've got a good outline. I know where the strap's going to go. I have a good idea where the ears need to be cut out. Centre line at the back, and so on. But really what we're going to do is, because I have the centerpiece and I've run that off the nose here, okay, and down through the mouth and the same down the back, that I can just use half of this template to make the other half as well. I might give it a little bit of extra fabric on it, but we'll see how it goes. But this template's actually going to be in 3 parts. It's not just going to be half and half, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. So I want to keep the centerpiece full because it has to be all together. Okay, so I might widen this out a little bit more. We'll see how it goes. Right, so everything's been cut off the head now, and all the excess Saran wrap has been cut away. So now I have my right side, my left side, and I have my centerpiece. Now people are probably wondering, why did you put red? Now I know where my front of my cap is, and I know where the front part of my centerpiece is. I don't have to number it, I have a colour to show me which is the front. That's white. Okay, and I know then which is my right and left side. Okay, right, so there you go. That's how I made my template. Now some of you are probably asking, Daniel, why didn't you put reference markers and cut markers on it like people do when they're doing styrofoam? Because I'm not joining it up with styrofoam. I'm just going to be fabric pattern, so I don't need to put those type of markers in it. It's just going to be pin it together and sew it together then. Okay, it's not that I'm using glue or anything, so you don't need to be putting too many points of connecting back up. You can do it if you want to, but it doesn't really make much sense because you can't really carry it across to your fabric. But you can, when you cut your seams, you can cut the join marks into the seams, but still it's just a guiding reference, and I don't really need them. They're not that really important for this type of build, so that's the reason why I haven't done it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop here and I'm going to get the patterns put onto some cotton, and then I'll bring you back. Okay, as promised, this is the close-up of the little Greeblie thing that I made for Amy's costume. As I said before in the previous video, it has some styrene board, and this is a part of an old plastic torch which I then cut in half and super glued on. 2 strips of styrene again, and I've just been painting it up and weathering it to look exactly like the costume piece.
and this has turned out really well. This is so much like the costume piece that it's amazing. I didn't fill in the top or bottom because you're never really going to see them, so that's perfectly fine. And I used an old suspender belt clip on the back, so this actually clips into the leatherette shoulder strap, holds it firmly in place, and it's not going anywhere. Okay, because it's pressed against her body, it's not going to come undone. If somebody does push off it, then yes, it will open up and come off, but that shouldn't happen. And there we have it. As I said, I've used a silver pen. Okay, if you use a silver pen, you can empty it out a little bit into a tray, and then use a paintbrush to paint it on. That's exactly what I did with this. And then I used some red paint to paint the stripe over, and weathered it with black acrylics. Just gave it a little black acrylic wash and a bit of dry brushing to give it some wear and tear on certain parts where dirt and grime would stick to it. And yeah, it's turned out pretty well. So there you have it. That is the Greeblie, or communication badge. I don't know what these things are supposed to be on her costume, but it's exactly like what she has in the cartoon.
Okay, so we're back now. It's been a few days now, and not having a good day today, to be honest with you. Many things have gone wrong this morning. So what I've done so far is I have used a pattern. I've attached it to the t-shirt, and I've just cut it out. Okay, so I'm going to show you now what I've been doing. Right, here it is. Okay, as I said, I attached the pattern to my t-shirt. I just pinned it on. I've left 2 layers of t-shirt, so I basically just laid the t-shirt down, pinned it all on, cut it out, leave myself a good basically 10 to 15 millimeters all the way around. Okay, and that will be my border, and that will give me enough space then to put my stitching in and make it just a slightly bit bigger than it was on the actual head of the dummy. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, this is my center section here, so I'm going to take the padding that I have bought, and I'm going to put a layer of that in between this now, and then I'm going to sew it up, and we'll start sewing all this together. Okay. So I've spent the afternoon now putting this together. I'll show you what I've done. Alright, so here it is. This is the cap, and I've got the tubes then all done up, waiting for the pieces to go in. As you can see, I've done the ribbing on it. The ribbing is also on the top, and it matches up then with the ribbing on these sides too. Yeah, so there we go. That's as far as I got now. Remember, she's going to have earphones that will sit over here, and then the goggles on the top. This is going to fit a bit better because my daughter has hair, so it's going to be a bit more puffed out. And I'm going to change this. I'm actually going to cut these about here and put in proper strapping, but for the moment I just have this in so I can pin it onto the mannequin. Okay, right, so there you have it. What I did was I made a cardboard template to make sure the sizes were correct, cut out the templates, ironed in some stiffener that makes them stand out, did in the ridge designs, and then tacked it on and made sure everything was in the right place, and then sewed it into place. So that's how I did that part of it. Okay. Again, I want to thank everyone who's been giving support and following me. If you want to see these photographs as I'm building it, pop over to my Facebook page or to my Instagram page. They're both under Rogue Clone Trooper. Hit the like button and check them out, because I put them up as I'm building it, which means they'll be up before, because the video comes out 3 to 4 days after I've done it, so you can keep up to date there. Okay, alright, I'm going to finish. So, as always, may the force be with you, and we'll see you in the next video.